back with Mental Health Thursdays, everybody. And on this Thursday, you were probably, of course, taking advantage of getting a jump start of the holiday weekend. We get it. So many families are using this as a time to reset, recalibrate, as we're now halfway through the year. But how do you do that? And what steps do you take now to help you push through the next several months, the next 6 months specifically? So with that, we've got Dr. Erin Leonard in studio, psychotherapist and author as well. Thank you, Doc, for being here.
Absolutely.
First off, I've got to ask you, how are you doing? We always have you on. How are you doing? I know you've got a family yourself, right?
I do. Great.
Yeah,
great. Kids
always
are doing well. Dogs are hanging in there.
I know. Put the headphones on the dog this weekend, obviously, right? Let's talk about it. Walk us through some of those key things to keep in mind when it comes to hitting the reset button. We know a lot of families are trying to do that right now.
Yes. So sometimes when we have worries, we kind of perseverate on them and we can spiral. And you know, it happens a lot, and I think it's a very human thing. So if you find yourself kind of perseverating, overthinking, and spiraling, you really just want to detach. And how you detach is you kind of look at the big picture. And so how you look at the big picture is you kind of look at where you started. And you look at how far you've come. And then in the present, you want to think about your blessings and you know, the good things that you have going on. And that's really important. And then when you think about the future, you want to think about silver linings, and you want to think about positive things to look forward to, and you want to think about goals that you want to set. And so if you big picture it, suddenly that worry that you're kind of obsessing over becomes a lot less consuming.
Yeah, Dr. Leonard, you talk so often about this. You just said the word goals. We've talked about New Year's resolutions, right? And you do those resolutions, and then maybe the first month and a half, you're like, oh my gosh, I broke the resolution. I didn't make it all the way through. But you shouldn't think of it that way, right? You should find the silver lining and say, hey, you know what? There's something else I can do to get at least somewhat to that goal, right?
That's right. And you kind of want to do a little reframe and say, you know what? I did all this right. I kind of slipped back this small portion. And so if you think about all the things you did right up until that point, you know, you're putting a more positive spin on it. Instead of a failure, it becomes, okay, if I've accomplished all this, I know I can get back on the horse and continue moving in the right direction.
There are a lot of people who are trying to get over the hump right now, whether it's financial, whether it's something other than that, health. How do they do that? How are they able to get over the last 6 months, wipe it away, acknowledge what's going on, but then also look forward? How can you do that?
So one really good thing to do is to unplug. So sometimes when we expose ourselves to a lot of negative material, it can really get to us, and we're not even aware of it. So if you unplug and go take a hike, or go walk your dog, or you know, go someplace, you know, lay in a hammock somewhere, go hammocking, you know, and you just take a break from the world, and you take a break from exposing yourself to that kind of stuff, and then you know, you refuel your tank, and then when you re-enter and expose yourself to that stuff, you're kind of revitalized, and you have built in a greater threshold for tolerance for it.
It's not easy to do, but it is doable, right?
It is.
I think so.
You just have to make yourself do it. And outside, nature is our best medicine because it releases endorphins, and it reduces anxiety, and it grounds us and centers us. It's better than medicine. So just remember, get out in nature. Get
outdoors and do something outdoors, right?
Yes.
I love that. What's the biggest challenge that you hear from folks who walk through your door without violating any HIPAA laws? I'm just curious, what is like the one thing that you hear people saying, man, the first 6 months I was going through this. Is there a specific topic or anything like that?
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with taxes, and you know, a lot of business owners struggle with that. You know, end of the year, beginning of the next year, and they have a lot to do. Weather can get a lot of people down, and when people are depressed, you know, their relationships, they're not as productive in their relationships or at work, and so then you have work stress and you have relationship stress, and that all compounds things, and so you can, you know, that's a difficult time of year for sure.
Can you talk about that, because I think people don't like to go and get help. They say, oh, I don't need help, I'll get through it. They can talk to someone, find a therapist right in your community. That's important too, right?
Yes, and it's so healthy and constructive. Just having a safe space to talk about how you feel, and you know, you're not judged, and you're able to really say things and reflect. I think that's a big deal. When people reflect, they can glean insight, and they can, you know, talking to someone who's not, you know, in it with them, but an objective person can help provide balance for them and perspective. So it's a really healthy thing to do for yourself.
Dr. Erin Leonard, as always, the light at the end of the tunnel. We appreciate you. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.